This. And then I do the transition, and the show is started.
Yeah.
There we go. Welcome back to OTC Live, everybody.
To the 80s.
Yeah, I like that little stinger I found.
I like it too.
I want to get a sponsorship. I'm working on getting a sponsorship from Storyblocks, which is the company that we use. I use all my I get all my stock footage from them. A lot of my my audio I get from them. They're not an official sponsor, but Storyblocks is definitely a company that is worth your time.
Nice.
So, yeah. How's my angle look today? I actually upgraded my little camera. So I shoot with a Sony ZV-1 is what I use to stream the show with, and it's my main kind of studio camera. But I got this. You've used this camera before. You shot all the B-roll for the music video with this camera.
Oh, okay.
But I got this right here today in the mail, which is a wide angle adapter lens for the Sony ZV-1, which goes, I believe it's 18 millimeters. I don't know if you get a real full 18 millimeters because it's a small sensor in that camera, but it's pretty cool. It just sticks right on the front of the camera. Yeah. I ordered it yesterday, and it came today. So,
not
company
bad.
is Ulazani. So yeah, and it was not expensive at all. It was like $50 or something like that.
Huh.
Again, not a sponsor of the show, but if you want to send me stuff, I'll gladly talk about it. But yeah, welcome back to the show. Hopefully we are streaming in all of our different platforms, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. It's good to see everyone. Let me see if I can get the what they call the unified chat up and rolling. If anyone joins in and wants to talk, we're going to start talking holiday horror and holiday.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Why not?
Holiday horror and genre flicks is what I was attempting to say there. But
yep,
as you could hear, I stumbled.
Yep, that's all right.
Looks like we've got everything up and going on Twitch. I can't speak for the other places. Dusty's online with us at Facebook. So, hey, Dusty, if you're on Facebook, tell me, is the sound all messed up? Do we sound like we're talking slow or like dropped 3 octaves? Because I cannot for the life of me figure out what that problem is.
No, it's got to be some kind of weird feed issue, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the way we run the show is I use OBS, Open Broadcast Software, which is a free open source software. And I do everything in there in terms of needs more bass. As Ollie's with us over on Facebook too. He says it needs more bass.
That's not a good sign.
So now we sound like chipmunks. He says it sounds okay. All right, cool.
I'm gonna go take a listen.
You're gonna go take a leak. But we load everything into OBS, and then the program we use to go out to the different places to stream is a program called Mob Crush, which is just you do through your browser. I do it through Google. You create an account. It's actually, when it works great. As we can see, but it's kind of up and down, but so far so good today. We'll roll with it. All right.
Yeah. Facebook sounds good.
Cool. So YouTube's the only one I haven't checked, but I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I will, because I'm thinking of it. And this will be the last time we will talk about it.
I got a new toy. You want me to float him up in front of the camera?
A new toy. Okay. Yeah. Hit me.
Yeah. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Oh, Maximilian, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
and I'm not saying I have 2 more things, but I'll just float this one up in front of the camera.
Oh, okay.
He's all scared.
Fair. And as we said, it looks like our YouTube stream is working too. So,
well, that's good. Vincent approves.
Good. And so we said, so we're starting the Christmas rush. Those are cool. Those are cool.
Yeah. They're pretty big too. Here's the size of my hand. My hand's huge. Actually, here's a soda can for size. That's pretty big. But the Maximilian, that's the I can't hold that. I'm doing the soda can comparison. I'm gonna hold the robot up. Yeah. Look at that.
Well, there you go. That's a big one.
Yeah. I was pretty happy. Diamond Select, and he comes with a whole bunch of different hands. I have on these spinning blades of death right now.
Spinning blades of death.
The
Curse Dave says that those are his childhood memories right there.
Oh, I love them. I love them. All I need is Star and one of the other Sentry robots, and I'll be happy. Fuck the humans. I don't need them. They are, outside of Star Wars. Maximilian is one of my favorite all-time robots.
We'll mention it multiple times throughout the show today through the live broadcast and obviously on the podcast version of it afterwards. Tonight is movie night. Chris, tonight is movie night.
I'll be there. I know.
I have to send you the login information because you don't get it through Patreon.
You do. You do.
But it is movie night. If you are a member of our Patreon, which I know a lot of you guys that watch the show live are, check on the Patreon page. There is a login for the Zoom call tonight. We are going to watch Ruckus. It's the second Linda Blair movie we are doing. Very excited about it. I figure it's a good night, right? The day before the holiday. Hopefully everyone is staying close to home. But yes, so we have the post on our Facebook page. If you go to the Outside the Cinema Facebook page, the group page, and if you're a member of the Patreon, click on that login. You can get all the information. If for some reason you don't have the information, hit me up. I'll send it over to you. But it's a Patreon only. It's private. Join the Patreon. You can get the movie nights. You get the audio version of this. You get the show archives. You get to choose movies, which worked out amazing for the show that came out on Monday. We had great movies from David. So if you haven't heard that yet, it's on the Patreon. Otherwise, it'll be released tomorrow on our regular feed if I remember to do it on Thanksgiving morning. I mean, I may.
You can't set that up as a timed thing.
I can if I remember to set it up.
Okay, that's fair.
I remember to set it up. So I'm excited about doing that tonight. So 8:00 on our Zoom. If you have the information, great. So yeah, Ollie mentions he'd love to, but he has an early start in the morning tomorrow. Yeah, here's the thing is we've got enough UK listeners that I want to factor in timing for them to get a good time. But right now with the daylight savings, it's 6 hours difference.
Right.
So it's tough though, because during the week, obviously to do one for the UK, it's really too early to do for our US listeners because it's, we're talking, if we do it at 4:00, 10 o'clock, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
I mean, we'd have to do it at like 6 on a Friday or Saturday.
And even that's late. Think. If we did it at 6, that's still midnight in the UK.
I know, but that's why weekend most people maybe might be able to. Yeah,
weekends are better. It's tough for me to set aside a time like during that time of day on like a regular weekend. If we make an event out of it, it's like when we used to do the Throwdown, we do Throwdown on Saturday because it's an event. But hey, we'll work it out, Ollie, and then you can rewatch. You can actually you can't rewatch it. Apologies.
Not this one.
I don't do recordings of these. Ollie, we'll figure something out, man. If you want to watch the movie, or if you're from the UK, hit me up. I'll make sure that I'll get you a copy of it, because Ruckus that we're showing tonight, starring Dirk Benedict and Linda Blair, not available currently anywhere. DVD is out of print and a collector's item apparently. The VHS obviously even longer out of print, and as far as I can tell, it is not currently on any streaming services. But the poster I posted on the Facebook page is hilarious.
Yeah, it really is. I saw it. I'm like, what the? Wait, look at those names.
Apparently, the face man has been bulking up.
Yeah, by doing what? Putting his brain in another body, Get Out style?
Sure, apparently, man. It's crazy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that's what's going on tonight. Pretty excited about it. What about you, Chris? Anything changed for you in the last couple days?
I got another email from work. I'm calling it work because it's work to do all this stuff.
Just to get ready to get the job is a lot of work.
Pretty much, yeah. Now they wanted references, which was fine. I had a bunch of people that I had that had been my boss that were willing to do this stuff, and I got that all set up. But the interesting thing about that, and I've never seen this anyplace else, and I'm not complaining about it at all. It's just I'm just saying it's different. Is that I put the information in with their contact info, and then it automatically generates an email with a link for them to fill out information.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. And I can actually track who's done it and who hasn't. I can't see what they've written, but I can see if it's been completed. And my guess is they ask for 3 references in the hopes of getting 1 answer. So we'll see. I know 2 of them will definitely respond. I don't know about the 3rd.
Yeah, well,
So, but it had to be my most recent people. So
well, that's the thing. You had the same job for
10 years.
Yeah, over 10 years.
Yeah.
So
and then the person before that for 10 years. So
yeah,
it's like some of those people that I've worked with before that are dead. What do you want me to do?
It's funny you say that because I remember doing interviews. And this would happen a lot when I would hire Christmas help. This was back when I worked at like the receiving docks for like Macy's and like Nordstrom and stuff. Like you'd get a lot of like retirees, guys that have, retired and they want to work part-time for the holiday season or whatever, guys.
Yeah.
Usually guys, just because it's the receiving dock, but women, same thing with women that would come in that are like, I'm like, oh, Nordstrom specifically would be like, we need 3 work references. And I would happen all the time with, I retired 4 years ago when I turned 60 or whatever. And I worked at, Eastern Savings Bank for 25 years before that. And my boss passed away last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want me to do.
Generally your supervisors are older than you.
Generally, yeah. It's like, so I don't know what I don't have 3 work references to give you.
Right. It's like education. Thing. It's like education. After a certain point, it's like, to me, the education question is moot. Like if you're in your 40s and you've done the job, I don't think you need to answer education at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Joe,
it's almost like
Joe in the chat room says, work references? Got to be honest, I used to put fake ones in there and still get the job. I think we've all been there, man.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there. But it sounds good. If they want references, that means that's the next.
I'm on to this is step 1, 2, 3. This is like step 5.
So step 5, step 1 is have lots of fun. Step 2, it's just me and you. Step 3, there's so much there could be. Step 4, I can give you more. Is there more? Is there a step 5 in step by step? Hey, Mel.
Oh, I don't know.
Melissa. She took the dog out. Well, when she gets back, you ask her in step by step, is there a step 5? And then tell her to come in and tell me, because she'll know what you mean. Remember, ask her what step by step. What is step 5? Okay, thank you. Anyway,
at least we're not doing the steps from the fucking Violent Femmes.
Oh,
1 because you left me, and 2, no tomorrow.
Yeah,
all
I don't
that
know
stuff.
anything about that.
I know you don't like them.
I'm not a fan. But we're talking about the New Kids on the Block. So go figure. Anyway, hey, Hollywood. We're doing holiday horror stuff as we're gonna start digging into this.
You're never gonna be able to say that, right?
Holiday horror and genre favorites. I added a whole bunch of stuff to the list. So those of you guys that maybe listened last week or not. So Chris and I we got a joint list going on I don't know. Can you read that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I added a whole bunch of stuff to the list. And then what I'm doing, Chris, is I'm in parentheses next to the ones that I have watched, writing watched.
Okay.
So that those are the ones that I have watched.
Okay. Okay.
But I added a whole bunch more stuff to the list. Amazon has a ton right now.
Oh, okay, good.
Stuff. Good. And we're willing to look at anything. I can't promise that we'll get to everything, but we're going to try to look at everything. So the last few years, definitely between 2015 and 2019, there's been a really large jump in holiday, specifically Christmas related horror films that I've really just kind of like, before that they were like, there was the Silent Night Deadly Night series, and there was Black Christmas and Christmas Evil and a handful of them, but now there's like a lot of them.
That is true.
I started my Christmas horror films with rewatching Rare Exports.
Okay.
Which is now is like, I think 10 years old. I think it was 2010 or 2009 that was released.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So have you seen it recently?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably about a year ago. I didn't get to that one. I started with Sint.
Okay.
That was the first one I had watched.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit and kind of give a rebuttal review, I guess, for Rare Exports, since you saw it fairly recently, so remember it.
Yeah, it's still in my mind.
So Rare Exports is it's Norwegian, right? Or is it Swedish?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Hang on, I got IMDb right
It's
here.
from that peninsula area of the globe.
Yeah, somewhere up there where it's cold. And 2010 rare exports.
I want to say Swedish.
Finland.
Finland.
It's Finnish.
Oh.
It's Finnish.
From the country my wife is from.
Ah, yes. In the depths of the Kovarmatoru Mountains, 486 meters deep, lies the closest ever guarded secret of Christmas. The time has come to dig it up. The Christmas everyone will believe in, Santa Claus.
Mm.
So this was kind of like this was a I don't want to say a big deal the year it came out, but people really were like, oh man, the trailer looked really good, and it was like, oh shit, this is like a legit like Christmas horror movie.
Yeah,
and we hadn't really had one in a while, and especially because coming from Finland, a different part of the world, really kind of the last 10 years of the idea of Krampus and that stuff has really come much more to light, and the like dark side of like Christmas traditions and where things come from other parts of the world. And this film was one of the first ones, at least for me, one of the first ones, if not the first one that I ever saw that kind of dug into that. How much of the history they use in this being legit it's questionable, but I mean,
that doesn't matter to me after a certain point in it. It was like, yeah, okay, good idea.
So this was directed by Jalmari Helander, who, since he's done this, did something called Big Game and some TV work, Californian Commando.
That sounds funny.
So he hasn't really done a 9-episode of a TV series called Wingman. Huh. I mean, this movie, like, people went nuts over this.
Yeah.
People went nuts over this. So basic story is you open it up. You're on top of this mountain. They are mining or digging for something. We have the American that is, or at least English speaking character who is like, we need to keep digging. They're like, oh, well, we dug down and we were down 400 meters or whatever, and we found wood.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, got real excited. The guy got real excited about that. He's like, you got wood? And he's like, yeah, I got wood. I got the biggest wood you've ever seen down there. 400 meters long wood. And the guy's like, great. And he's like, why is that great? I've never seen anything like this before. And he's basically like, you're almost there. He's like, the longer the wood is, the better. And the guy's like, okay, this double entendre has gone too far.
Yeah, definitely. That is not too fucked up.
And he's like, all right, I guess we'll keep digging. So the guy's like, yeah,
sure.
The guy's like, sure. He's like, yes, keep digging. And then we are introduced to Pietra, who is the child of one of the main stars. He's like, I guess he's the main character. He's the child of one of the other main characters. He is kind of the like small, kind of wussy kid. Where
he's the Oscar of the film.
Yes, he is the Oscar of the film.
Yeah.
But he starts doing some research, and they, some mumbo jumbo of what Santa Claus really is.
Some mumbo jumbo.
And
we'll just hand wave that shit away.
Yeah. Well, he's reading these books and he's holding a bell and some keys or something or other, and they start using dynamite to blow up the thing. And his dad is basically trying to stop these giant Russian wolves from coming in and eating all their reindeer or whatever. So things start to really happen when we.
I gotta be honest. What? It kind of sounds like you're making this shit up as you go along.
No, man, I'm not though. That's the thing.
No, I know, but it definitely sounds like the dad's doing something.
Well, he digs a pit.
Wolves, why not?
He digs a wolf pit, and they're talking about how the Russian wolves are coming.
I just think it's funny. Well, it sounds ridiculous.
So all your characters in this, they live like out in the middle of like nowhere in Finland, and their big thing is they do a harvest every year of the reindeer that come in. So they get the reindeer meat, they sell the reindeer meat. That's what keeps them going. So only when the reindeer are coming, they got the pen ready with the electric fence, and only 2 reindeer show up, and they're like, "Yo, where's the rest of the reindeer?"
Yeah, that would be a little disconcerting.
Like, I don't know. So they get on their snowmobiles and they go out into the wilderness. They get to where the fence is on the outskirts of the mountain, and all of the reindeer are slaughtered.
Nice visual, though.
Very nice visual, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're like, what the hell is going on? And then they're like, this was the wolves. But I ain't never seen wolves do anything like damage like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're like, well, it's got to be something to do with the people that are digging on the mountain. Let's go up there and fuck them up. Is essentially what they're like. That's what I mean, seriously, that's what they're going to do.
I know, but the way you're presenting this is awesome.
Well, he's just like, they shoot the gun and they're like, let's go through the fence. And they're like, we're going to get up there and get him. And they're like, well, they told us that we'd be shot on sight if we go up there. And they're holding their guns. And they're like, well, we've got guns too.
Yeah. It's like they realize it. Wait a minute.
Yeah. So they go up the mountain and there's no one up there. The office, the doors banged open. There's snow everywhere. They have no idea what's going on, but they look and they see this giant, deep asshole.
Mm.
And they do the classic, like, lights up the flare, throws the flare in the hole, and it just keeps going down. And they're like, I don't know what they dug up here, but there is something is not right.
Yeah.
So they go back to the house, Peter and his dad go back to the house, and it's Christmas Eve. I think or is it Christmas Eve or is it the day before Christmas Eve?
It might be the day before, because doesn't it need a little time to build?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Peter knows something's weird because he's read a bunch of the books and he knows there's something is not right. Something is not right. Your boy Santa Claus is going to come and he's going to kill everyone. Because he knows that the idea of Santa Claus is that he comes and he lashes the kids that have, hi, Mark.
Wow. He's excited today.
There he goes. So he stays up all night. He's got the gun and he's like, hey. Step 5 is, don't you know that the time is right?
So that's encouraging then.
It is encouraging. Back to reality though. So he stays up all night. He's got his shotgun and he's like looking out the window and wants to make sure that Santa Claus isn't going to get him.
Right.
He gets up the next morning though, and they are like, things aren't going well. They go outside trying to figure out what's going on, and they see that something is gone. Or Peter goes outside to go to the bathroom, and he sees that something, the trap that he had set. So when he dug the pit, the wolf pit, they'd put a piece of a pig's head on top of this thing, and he's like, hey, the bait's gone. And they realize they didn't catch.
No,
they didn't catch a wolf.
Because why would they?
Right, exactly.
Because, the wolves got eaten too, probably.
Yes. So they caught, I guess, are they elves? The guys with the long beards?
That's what I think. Okay. I think they are supposed to be his elves, his helpers, his, I think it plays off of the, every mall has a Santa, and this is where they come from.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that leads us into the end, and then there's a bunch of naked guys.
A bunch
of naked guys, and I still remember watching this, and then Vishnu back in the day, longtime listener, longtime friend Vishnu, saying how it would be
very good friend,
how it's a good holiday family movie to watch with the family.
I think what he meant was it's a holiday movie with a family in it.
Let's hope that's what he meant, because there's lots
that being
of naked
said,
men.
We are going to watch that this year.
And I don't want to give away the end of it, but things come together in a crazy way, and things get nuts, and shit goes down, man.
Yeah,
it goes down. So I hadn't revisited this since I originally saw it. Joe says sounds like a party at Reverend Scott's crib. And I remember liking it when I saw it, but I enjoyed it quite a lot on the rewatch. I don't know whether maybe I paid better attention to it or it was just it hit me in the right mood, but I think it's one of the better holiday horror movies I've seen. And I think I liked it more so because it expanded on, those ideas that are brought up in so many other things, but kind of goes somewhere else with it. But it also doesn't slow down enough that you're kind of like, oh, they're going to have to give me an info dump. They give you whatever they need to give you. They tear through it. And then when you see the thing that is actually supposed to be Santa Claus, which you never actually fully see, you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's good. It's really good.
It's it sounds crazy. If you were to put this on cue cards and give it to Stefan, it would sound like this. This movie has everything. Mining corporations, pigs' heads on spikes, phantom wolves, 1,000 naked Santas. Like, it's really crazy. It is absolutely insane. It felt like when I originally watched it, it was like these dudes really love The Thing, and they love the idea of finding something hidden forever. But they are going to take the Lovecraft influences on Carpenter's Thing, and they are going to make it so specifically holiday related that it's brilliant. The twists they put on the legend, I love it. I really love when they do that. Like the movie Clown, how what the original clown was and the suit that the guy puts on in the movie, and they like rewrite the history of it, but that's okay because within that movie it really works, and within this movie it really works. You take something that's supposed to be a benevolent happy dude, but you infuse it with the idea of Krampus, and legends and mythology, they get changed as time goes on, and this feels like going back to the to like an ancient ritual,
for sure.
And I really like that.
It's got an overtly pagan feel to it, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Rare exports from me, it gets a recommend. It's definitely, if you're interested in holiday genre fare, I think since it's a Finnish film, it gives a whole different feel, a whole different look. It's shot very well. It's well written. I love the spin on the legends. I think the characters all play their parts very well. The adults are certifiably like not useful until they need to be useful.
Yeah.
It looks great. It looks cold. It looks dark. I think it's really good. I'm going to give it a straight B. I think it's definitely one that if you haven't checked out, you should add it to your holiday genre list. It is currently available. I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And I think it might also be available on Tubi, if I'm not sure. Oh, I just got that totally unrelated. I just got the word that Survival of the Film Freaks is going to be available on Tubi soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I don't know when. I just saw that they picked it up. So
all right.
Keep an eye out for that.
Great.
But so, Chris, what is the first holiday genre fare you would like to talk about?
Oh, well, let me do my grading thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
No, that's okay.
Well, usually when we do the live ones, it's not usually ones that we've both seen. So
true. For this, I'm gonna give it two separate things. It's a recommend across both, but as a movie, as a regular movie, I would give it a B plus. But as a holiday horror movie, it bumps it up. It gets an A minus because it's original.
Cool.
So
hot take, sports fan.
I know, isn't it? That's very controversial. The whole like one bump up. I watched when I got up today. I watched Saint, which takes place on December 5th in. Where are we in this one? Amsterdam?
I think it's Amsterdam because it's the same director as Amsterdam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes complete sense then. I know that sounded sarcastic, but it wasn't. That was
a horror film that depicts Saint Nicholas as a murderous bishop who kidnaps and murders children when there is a full moon on December 5th.
Yeah. That's the whole movie, pretty much right there. It's up to 2 people, 3 people to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, written and directed by Dick Maas, who also, as we said, we did Amsterdam a couple weeks ago. He wrote and directed that, and then he also did Prey, which was the one about the killer lion, and then he also did. There was another film that he directed. Hold on, let me get it right up here. That I know we had covered on the show a while back. Prey, Quit, Sint, Killer Babes, The Shaft. Actually, we didn't do it on the show, but The Shaft was a Halloween throwdown film.
Oh, that's right.
2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
He also directed the video for Golden Earrings Twilight Zone.
Oh.
And we're headed into the Twilight Zone.
Interesting. I like that song.
I like Golden Earring. They did Radar Love too, which is also very good.
That is so different, isn't it?
Different than what?
The other one that you were singing.
I mean, they sound, similar, I guess.
Yeah, but like, I wouldn't have guessed it was the same band.
Yes. Anyway, this is from the Netherlands. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a straightforward monster movie in a way. You got the kid that needs to figure out what's going on, the people that don't believe it. You got the cops, you got the fishermen, and they're all like, "Oh, we know what's going on. He's going to." I don't know if this was the subtitles I had on this, but he was going to kidnap the children and take them to Spain. Is that what? Instead of just killing them,
I remember.
But he ends up.
Yeah, I remember that. I have seen this. It's been a number of years since I watched it, though.
It's just there's no. I mean, there's the. I don't want to give anything away, so I got to stop that sentence.
Okay.
There is a tradition. Black Peter, I believe, is what the tradition is, and it's St. Nicholas's helpers. Oh. And it's these dudes dressed up that almost look like the Vatican Guard, but they are white dudes in blackface, and they run around and do
racist.
Shit. Yeah, a little bit.
Sounds very racist, is what it sounds.
Except these ones that accompany the monster in the movie are rotten corpses, and that's why they're black. I'm like, okay, all right, you're trying to change up the whole feel of this. You're trying to change the reason for them looking that way, and I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you trying to remove the racist aspects of that. But really, it's just a dude, a badly burned monster on a horse with a bishop staff that he uses to decapitate people. But mainly he kills children.
Andrew in the chat says it has ridiculous rewatchability and he tries to watch it every year.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't. It's definitely a different kind of movie than Rare Exports. This is more of a like an action horror movie kind of thing, where it feels like a chase to stop him from hurting people, and Rare Exports is more of a what the fuck is going on,
right?
Mystery kind of thing. So it's see there's so many. It feels so straightforward that if I go into any detail about it, it just will kind of like ruin most of it. You know what I mean?
Okay. How the effects?
I liked them. I liked the look on the main character and all of his minions. It wasn't like, oh, let's fabricate a bunch of rubber masks. I couldn't tell. Maybe they did, but they all had like hangy bits of flesh and tattered suits and stuff, and they were good, and they could fight, which was nice, and they were the kind of things that could overwhelm a small squad of police with machine guns. So I appreciated that. I appreciated the all of the stuff they did. And the guy, he can film action. The director.
Sure. Oh, I mean, so, Amsterdam, the boat chase is unreal. The boat chase and the motorcycle chase, so good.
Yeah. Usually that's the kind of thing that comes at the end of your career when you've really nailed how to do this. But that was early on for him.
I know, right?
And there are some decent action pieces here, and some good I was going to say coordination. What's it called? Choreography. So yeah, it's enjoyable. It definitely is enjoyable. I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if the subtitles were about a second and a half earlier.
That poster art is great too.
Yeah.
Do I not have that set up? I'm sorry, I thought I had that set up.
Yeah, it's just a great idea. And I like that it doesn't take place on Christmas. It's a very specific time, and they're like, well, here it comes again. So that was good. I think that was a good one. That's a good one to watch early in the month. You can actually watch it on the day, on December 5th.
Oh, really?
Because it's a very specific day.
What's today's date? 25th. You got time.
Yeah.
You got time. I was gonna show. I had the poster art. I love the poster art, but I don't know what's going on over here.
Well, there's a bunch of different poster art for it now, but the original was really good.
Let's see if I got it now. Now, why is that not working? Is it this one? Whatever. I don't know. Whatever. All right. All right. So I'm gonna go like real angry and off the rails with my next discussion. Do you want to do another one first?
I have not been able to watch anything else yet.
All right then. That's fair.
What did I do?
You didn't do anything.
Okay, good. Then I'll just
Christmas
listen.
horror still. So so this morning I had a little bit of time and I was like, hang on. Let me get the information up here in front of me.
For those listening, I have my fingers crossed it's not one that I picked.
No. It wasn't even on the list. I added it this morning.
Okay.
Because we said we're gonna kind of watch anything and everything. First, and I was scrolling through stuff to see what was available, and I came across the 2019 remake of Black Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't well received, was it?
Yeah. Justifiably so. So the original, then I watched this, and then I rewatched the original Black Christmas afterwards because I was like, I feel like the original Black Christmas is like such a good example of a holiday horror film, and it was really one of the first, if not the first holiday horror film. It's also one of the prototypes for the slasher movie, if not the original slasher film. Because I know that Halloween came from Carpenter wanting to write a sequel to Black Christmas. And I mean, maybe not directly, but like I know Carpenter had some discussions with Bob Clark about it, and there was it's stuff that was stated that to have potentially have happened. But we got Halloween, which is the absolute be all end all of slashers from that time period. So last year, 2019, there was a second remake of Black Christmas. Now, in 2006, there was a remake of Black Christmas also. And at the time, I remember watching it and being like, yeah, whatever. It's fine. I don't remember being super angry about it. I remember being like, it's not great. It's not something I'm going to probably revisit, but whatever. It's fine. This film, this 2019 Black Christmas made me like angry.
Now, why is that?
So first of all, it's billed as a remake of Black Christmas. And now I know when we do remakes, a lot of times, we take some different turns with it, make some different, decisions on presentation, change some story elements. But when I tell you that the only thing that tied this to the original Black Christmas, or even the 2006 remake of Black Christmas, was that they had the same name and that they took place around Christmas. I guess if you want to split hairs, there's some little things like put into it to be like nods to the original, and the fact that it does take place at a sorority. So here is let me get the original Black Christmas up here, and I want to read to you the plot for the original Black Christmas. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for Christmas break, and the sorority sisters make plans for the holidays. But the strange anonymous phone calls are beginning to put them on edge. When Claire disappears, they contact the police, who don't express much concern. Meanwhile, Jess is planning to get an abortion, but boyfriend Peter is very much against it. The police finally begin to get concerned when a 13-year-old girl is found dead in the park. They set up a wiretap for the sorority house, but will they be able to prevent a sorority girl attrition problem? Now, that is the extended explanation of 1974's Black Christmas.
Okay. Now there's enough going on in there to have a couple of different storylines.
Okay, now let me read this to you. A group of female students are stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. That is until the young sorority pledges discover that the killer is part of an underground college conspiracy. Okay.
Read that one more time to me.
A group of female students are stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. That is until the young sorority pledges discover that the killer is part of an underground college conspiracy.
Okay.
All right.
It has the same feel, but it adds a twist to it.
In theory.
That could be okay.
In theory. Now,
I know where this is going. So,
spoiler alert for Black Christmas 2019. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, don't listen, because I'm going to literally ruin the entire thing, and I'm going to stomp a mud hole in it.
Okay.
So, directed by Sophia Takal, written by Sophia Takal and a couple of other people, starring Imogen Poots, who I love. I'm like, all right, great. Alyssa Shannon, Lily Donahue, Brittany O'Grady, and then some other faces that you would recognize. Carrie Elwes also is in it, in a role. So this film, when they released the trailer for it last year, people kind of uproared because they essentially spoil the entire movie in the trailer. And then also add a bunch of effects to scenes in the trailer that aren't in the actual film.
Can you elaborate on that? That sounds weird.
So there's a point in the trailer where one of the hooded figures, hooded figures. If we go back to the original, Billy was the killer in the original, and he was an unseen, escaped mental patient.
Right. Okay.
In this, they are hooded figures, that bleed black. But in the trailer, there's a scene where one of them, they take the mask off of one of them, and then it's the stone bust of the person that ran the college, which is a point of the story.
Okay.
So the movie starts out, and we're introduced to the girls in the sorority. Okay, fine. It's Christmas break. A bunch of them are leaving. Some of them are staying. They're having this thing called the Misfits Christmas Dinner, where all of the people that are staying on campus come to dinner. All right, great, cool.
Yeah,
no
that's
problem.
cool.
No problem.
That's a decent idea. It's probably something that has happened.
Now, and also, so my wife Melissa told me that I have to tread fairly carefully in how I present this movie, because I'm going to rail out against some things that if I don't word myself properly, I potentially could get myself into hot water. So I will do my best. And Chris, I will need you to hold me in contempt if I do start to go too far.
Okay. I don't know what you're referring to, but I do know.
Don't you worry. Listen, if you are a fan of Angry Bill, this is the show not to miss.
Okay.
So we then learned that Imogen Poots' character was assaulted and raped at one point by a member of another fraternity.
Not okay. I'm saying okay as I understand.
I know what you mean. So they set this up to know that something bad happened to her. Nobody other than her sorority sisters believe her, and that's gonna play into a thing because her
sadly typical. Yes.
Absolutely. And all of her other sorority sisters, not all of them, but there's one or two that are very much that hardline feminist stance, and they're trying to make changes on the campus. Great. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. All for it.
Good. Yeah. Bring it up to date.
They are having
add some stuff that the new audience can latch on to.
Yep. So they've got a petition they're signing to take the name off of it, because it's called Hearst or Hamilton College or something like that. And the idea is that the original person that founded the college was a racist, sexist guy that was just really bad news. So they let us know.
So they're going to change it to what? Trump University?
Sure. That makes complete sense.
No, that won't work either.
No, that's also problematic. So they tell that they managed to get the bust of this guy that ran the college removed from wherever it normally was. And they are talking about, this petition to make these changes, and it's all very, kind of generalized. So that these girls are feminist in the way that they're presenting their things. So very early on in this movie, it becomes painfully apparent that agenda of the filmmaker is being put above storytelling. Okay. So this movie very quickly devolves itself into a man bad feminist good argument. Now, it's not super black and white like that, but it is very apparent that it's the agenda that's being peddled in that this group of girls is being punished by the overarching anger of the white men in that they are being targeted because they are strong, outspoken women.
Because they're speaking out and they want the status quo.
Right. Which
is sadly typical.
Sadly typical, and also I think a great idea to push a story. But this again is a Black Christmas remake.
True.
Which none of this has anything to do with the original film. None of it has anything to do with Christmas. Like Christmas, it literally just happens to take place at Christmas.
Okay.
There's no escaped mental patient. There's no Billy character. There's no and I mean the most iconic moment in the original Black Christmas is the girl in the attic with the plastic bag wrapped around her head in the chair. I mean it's the cover art for crying out loud. That scene gone. They have a plastic suffocation scene, but it is flipped with the girl doing it to one of the guys at one point.
Okay, I'm okay with that part.
If it was the only thing that but that to me, that's a lot of these films, that would be like doing a Nightmare on Elm Street remake and having Freddy Krueger not have a razor glove. Or you know what I mean? Or reinventing Jason and now he doesn't have a hockey mask. Because it's the most
Well, I mean, Jason X.
Well, right. But in general, that's the scene from this movie that people identify the original movie with. So
okay, but it's not an iconic killer's look, to be fair.
No, to be fair, you're right, because we never actually see the killer in the original movie. So we see him, but it's you not see them. So Joe in the chat room says he hates it when they make remakes that don't even come close to the original. Just rename it and make it its own thing. This movie, Joe, is the perfect example of it should have been called something else and you would have looked at it completely differently. But I did a little bit of research afterwards, because whenever I watch a movie that makes me this angry, I start doing some digging. And so
that's good. That's actually an admirable thing instead of just getting pissed and going to Reddit.
Right. So
which you don't do. So
right, I don't do that. So good. Sofia Takal is the first female to direct a Blumhouse movie. That's great. But it's the heavy-handed agenda of feminism in this film is so in your face.
I wouldn't call it an agenda, because now you told me to do this.
Right.
An agenda usually to me indicates something subversive, and this is more wanting to mainstream the idea that believe the victim, for instance. So maybe just, I don't know, instead of agenda, just message. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because agenda does have a negative connotation with, the gay agenda.
I think if the movie was better,
true. So I'm not arguing from a quality standpoint.
So here's some quotes from the director Sofia Takal. She worked extensively to make this version of Black Christmas as feminist as she could, stating in an interview, "I wanted to make a movie where instead of feeling objectified or watched from a distance, the audience felt seen. This resulted in further backlash as Takal was accused of placing more importance over the agenda as to the plot."
Okay.
So then there's a Christmas dance routine in this, which the girls, they're it's like a Christmas talent show or whatever. So the girls go in and they do. First, we see one of the girls had too much to drink, and one of the guys is forcing himself on her. And Imogen Poots' character comes in and breaks it up, which is I'm cool. I'm this is rather than allowing it to happen and then using it as a plot device later on, they stepped in, they stopped it, great. And then of course the guy is the most cardboard cookie cutter, whatever, all you bitches are the same.
Yeah, but sadly, that's how those people are.
I mean, college frat kids. It's a stereotype for a reason.
Yeah.
So they do this dance routine, and so it's if you've seen Mean Girls, it's the dance routine from Mean Girls, but they do it to make it as quoted in this review, a derogatory reference to Mean Girls. Sofia Takal considers Mean Girls to be a very misogynistic film. While that film pits the girls against each other, this film is meant to reinforce their sisterhood. Coincidentally, Lacey Chabert appeared in the first remake of Black Christmas and also in Mean Girls. And
but wasn't Mean Girls like just saying, "Look how mean women can be to each other"?
Yes, and Mean Girls,
because they can.
And Mean Girls written by Tina Fey.
Yes.
So
yeah, you don't shit on Tina Fey in my house.
No. So they do that scene, and Imogen Poots wasn't going to sing in the thing, but her friend that was almost assaulted had too much to drink, and she's like, "All right," she's like, "Gotta go." And so they then make her sing in it, and she puts this whole spin on the song, and tells everyone in the room through song how she was assaulted by someone from the frat house.
She made up a song on the spot.
Apparently so, yeah.
Good for her. That is not easy to do.
And it's super effective, and it gets the point across. And then but from that point on, there's no explanation. So what ends up happening is they have this like secret society within this fraternity, which is the original fraternity that the college is built on.
Mm-hmm.
Imogen Poots is snooping around the house, the fraternity house, and opens this door, and they're having this like not seance, but like ceremony where they have the stone bust of the guy, and it's got black tears coming down it, and they take the black tears and they rubbed it on this kid and put his hood up, and he's now in the fraternity or whatever. And their eyes are all weird, and like, so there's like all this supernatural stuff that's going on with no explanation to any of it.
Okay.
So from that point on, then after they leave there, the idea is that the girls have royally pissed these guys off, and now they're coming to get them. And so like they're coming to take out all of the women that have spoken up. They have a list at one point where all of the women that have spoken up need to be either put into their place or removed. So there's a lot of like that these guys trying to make the women submissive to them, and like, you know, a lot of like derogatory, you know, bitches, and like, you know, you should be on your knees for me, and all this disgusting stuff. But like, none of it works because the story is so weak. And it just seems like like every moment there's an excuse to shove this message in your face. And I am 100% on board with movies that have got the message, and, you know, even whether you want to think the word agenda is, you know, a bad word or whatever. I mean, if you have an agenda, I'm fully on board with you speaking that agenda. Whether I agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're that filmmaker and you want to spread that message, that's fine. But at the end of the day, if your movie's not good, or your story is not well written, or your story is not well developed, and you just kind of like go from point A to point B to point C to point B to point D, and are just like hammering home all this stuff, and it doesn't do any, like, I don't feel like you're helping anyone.
You lose your message.
Exactly. The message gets lost because you're like, this is just bad.
Right.
So one of the other things I found in doing some research here was that, hang on, let me find it and make sure I get the story right. So according to, this is from the trivia on IMDb. Where is it? So Sofia Takal. So this is another one where it's like, I find it hard to believe this, but Sofia Takal originally pitched to Blumhouse a remake of I Spit on Your Grave from 1978, which had already been remade less than 10 years ago.
Right.
Spit on Your Grave, a feminist revenge flick, but she had never seen that film. She was instead offered the chance to remake Black Christmas. Takal was looking forward to making this film more feminist than the original film was, as she perceived the ending to be strongly misogynistic. First of all,
how did the first one end? She survived, right?
She survives, and the guy is still in the house. I think the idea of the misogynism comes from the boyfriend who wants the woman to get the divorce, and he attacks her. Or wants her to have has the abortion, and he attacks her because she says she's going to have it without his permission. I'm assuming that's what it was.
Oh, that sounds like a smaller plot point than I would have thought.
I mean, like I said, I rewatched the original Black Christmas, and it's 70s filmmaking. Like, that's the filmmaking from the 70s, whereas like you make something now, it's a different world, so the filmmaking is different. But
True.
like the idea that, and I don't have any, just this little bit of information is all I have, but she went to Blumhouse pitching to remake I Spit on Your Grave. Like, as I said, when was the I Spit on Your Grave remake? Let me look that up real quick.
I want to say, wasn't it like 2012 or something?
2010. And there's been there's been 2 sequels to that. There's been 2 sequels to the I Spit on Your Grave remake. 2010. So it was less than 10 years. But she went in there pitching a remake of a movie she had never seen.
Now, other side of the coin, Tim Burton at one point admitted he never read comic books. And he made 2 Batman movies. So like, but it's not unheard of.
Right, but did he go to the studio and like
I don't know.
Fight to get Batman?
I don't know. I don't have that much information.
I just it seems insane to me that you would go in because somebody told her about what I Spit on Your Grave was and was like, I want to make this I Spit on Your Grave remake. And then the first answer isn't like, well, we just remade it 8 years ago. Because they had to be like, if it was released in 2010, like this movie came out last year. I mean, what, 8 years?
How many other remakes have we had that have gone so wildly off the rails from the original? Because you think of the classics, you think of The Fly, and that has the core story to it.
Right.
The Thing is, guys find something in the ice. It melts. They're trapped in Antarctica. Nobody trusts anybody. They have a lot of doors, and everything, goes to hell when there's an alien running around. It's just, you just change how it moves around.
Here's the thing, though. I can get on board with you making major changes to a film if it's good.
Yeah, but I'm thinking those changes aren't even that major to the original story. I mean, the core plot is trapped with an alien.
Well, let's run through some of the horror ones. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Platinum Dunes remake.
Yeah,
same story, right?
Almost exactly. Yes.
Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Excuse me.
Dawn of the Dead. People trapped in a mall. Zombies are everywhere. From there, you can go anywhere you want.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Some changes, but still.
That's all I'm gonna say. I really like the burn makeup. He looked more like a burn.
I'm not talking
victim.
about makeup. I'm talking changes to the story.
Well, you still had the hand coming out of the tub.
Yep.
So.
Yep. But overall,
that's your iconic, suffocated in the upstairs.
Right. Overall, same story though. Same look, same character. They didn't change the killer to somebody else. They didn't change it into a Freddy Killer cult or something, like, you know what I mean?
No, you mean like a Michael Myers movie?
Right. But even those things are still tied. Now, hear me out. If you had this sorority that was stalked by this frat that had the secret society that are following what Billy did in the original film and have created this cult around it and somehow tied that together. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Friday the 13th remake, Jason in a hockey mask at the campground, taking people out.
Yeah. That's pretty true to character.
Hills Have Eyes.
Hills Have Eyes was a great remake. Same story, just more gross.
On steroids, essentially. Yeah. Then there's the stuff like Prom Night. Yeah. I don't really remember the Prom Night. I remember the Prom Night remake just being so ordinary.
Yeah. Also, so mediocre it doesn't matter.
Right. Also this movie, PG-13. PG-13 slasher movies are not things that can be done well. And then I also read that the supernatural stuff, they had them bleed black
to prevent the R rating.
Well, no, not even that. The blood and the black gook was supposed to show their toxic masculinity.
Well, I mean, that's obvious, isn't it?
It was obvious, yeah.
I mean, Neil Blomkamp sat back and went, that's a little much.
Little much. But God, this movie made me angry, man.
I mean, it's perfectly fine to take a storyline. How many times has Seven Samurai been done in TV, movies, cartoons?
Right. But how many times has it been done under the name Seven Samurai?
Once as Seven Samurai, but you take the storyline and you can adapt that to anything. You can't always adapt a story to a specific thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm going the opposite with this.
I hear you.
You can take the slasher idea and throw that, you can skin it, put a new skin on it any way you want, but you can't always adapt it to a very specific story like they tried here.
Right. And the thing too is, and Joe brought up the Evil Dead remake again. Excellent. Same basic idea.
Yeah.
Changes, but the skeletal backbone of the movie's there. This movie with the, what she wanted to get across and, speak on this, the feminist movement of, and this is like stuff like this happens. I mean, not obviously murderous cults, but like stuff like this happens on colleges every single day. And people aren't listened to, and women are pushed off. They go to police and they're just like, well, and it's like, she had the stuff of the like, oh, boys will be boys. Like that stuff was in there. And like that stuff works because that stuff's true. So if this movie here you go, you take this story you had, have it take place during the final couple weeks of school. There's a big party at one of the frats. They try to assault this girl. It goes back to the story of, there was a Christmas party that Imogen Poots character was assaulted at. And then you bring the cult out, and like, cause there's your movie.
Yeah.
And you call it whatever you call it, sorority haze or, sorority life or something, you know what I mean? Like, and you take the Black Christmas name off of it, and it's already a better movie. It still wouldn't have been good, but it's like, it's a better movie because you're not relating it to what came before it. And the original Black Christmas is a great movie. It's it's the epitome of cult classic, holiday horror films. Like it's the blueprint.
But it's a smaller scale than what this was going for as well.
All the more reason why it should be something else.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. You didn't hate the movie as a movie. You hated it as a remake of something better. And
I hated it as a movie too. Because it wasn't good. It wasn't well written. It wasn't. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't. I didn't like, what was happening to them and the way that the way it was presented. But it wasn't put together well. It wasn't written well. It was shot like any number of 50 other movies I've seen. And Blumhouse is interesting because Blumhouse has got like some stuff that is just so good, and then there's other things I'm just like, I don't understand why they put any money into this. Yeah. And this was done in like it was done and made in less than 5 months. Like from pre-production through shooting through post to release, 5 months.
Wow.
And people hated it. So if you go on IMDb, it's got a 3.3.
Okay.
3.3, and I'm just going to hit some of the review titles here. 1 out of 10. I owe the Black Christmas 2006 version an apology. 2 out of 10, get revenge. 1 out of 10, a disgrace to the 1974 classic. 1 out of 10 makes the 2006 Black Christmas look like an Oscar winner. 2 out of 10, all these other reviews are right. The first line in that review: this is the lowest mark I've ever given a film, but it is well deserved. It was poorly written, badly acted, and the whole thing is a mess from start to finish. 1 out of 10, who asked for this? 2 out of 10, why? With a question mark.
Wow.
1 out of 10, slasher or soap opera.
You can do both.
This is true.
You can't make it obvious. I mean, professional wrestling is a soap opera with fights.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, there's no basically. That's absolutely what it is.
But you don't have people saying, pick one, because they do it well. We'll say 75% of the time.
I want to read this one here because it's fairly short and gets the point across. 1 out of 10, the title, Now I Don't Have to Remember Other Bad Movies from 2019. Absolutely the worst movie I've seen in theaters for the year of 2019. There was nothing redeeming about this movie. It's a horror movie based around how men are being kept down by women and they are using black magic to take the power back. Power that they never actually lost, of course. It's just now that their actions have consequences which they didn't like. The lesson was muddled anyway because the characters all suck. Every single kill happens off of camera. That was another thing which I'm assuming they had to do to get the PG-13 rating. None of the murders happen on screen. The lesson was muddled anyway. The characters all suck. The kills happen off camera, and by the end, you don't care about anyone or anything because you've been defeated completely and just want to go home. Don't waste your time on this movie. No, or anyone involved in it. There's no reason to watch it.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. And they go on like that. There's 342 reviews, and they're all
oh my God
4 or less. And one of them brought up the cover art, and this is the cover art for it.
It looks like fucking Suicide Squad.
Or not even Suicide Squad. You know what it looks like? Looks like Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
Looks like Pitch Perfect. So
that's stupid.
Black Christmas. So do I recommend Black Christmas 2019? Absolutely not. Worst movie I've watched this year. I'm not going to give it an F because they made a picture, full picture, front to back, top to bottom. Right. People got paid to work on it. Professional actors are in it. And poor Imogen Poots. Like, she said she took the role because she looked really forward to working on a film that had a primarily female cast and crew. And I'm wondering if she did any promotion for this movie afterwards or anything like that, because she's a good actress. Her role in Green Room, killer. This, not so much. So I will give it a D- for a grade. I won't quite fail it, but it's easily the worst movie I've seen this year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It is on HBO Max, if any of you want to take the chance.
No.
Chris, what else did you watch this week, man? You watch anything else?
I watched Joker again.
I still got to watch it. I haven't watched it.
I liked it more the second time around. The first time around, it was like, oh, hey, yeah, this dude really loves Scorsese movies. But the second time around watching it, I was like, all right, because I definitely have ideas about how to move forward and keep Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker if Batman is actually introduced in that world. Because in this movie, Bruce is like 12 years old.
Okay.
But I'll wait to go into that till after you.
Okay.
You watch it. What else? I watched something else, and I forget, so I gotta look it up.
All right. Well, you look it up. I will bring up a couple of documentaries that I watched. I watched The Godfather. Oh. What?
The Black Hole. Because I ordered the figures. I'm like, I gotta watch that movie again.
Didn't we
I did.
It?
I do actually have a couple of things here.
Oh,
so
I feel like I've done a lot of talking. So
did I say I've watched Captive State?
Yes.
I did.
You mentioned that last week, I believe, but remind me just in case.
Captive State is John Goodman, and it's like 9 or 10 years after aliens have landed and taken over, and it's about the resistance.
Yes, you did talk about that last week.
Oh, okay. Because like it was boring.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Like there wasn't even anything about the aliens. It was all humans. Like Battle Los Angeles or whatever that was called had more aliens in it. And it's just allegorical for Big Brother and standing up to government, basically. And then did I tell you I watched something called The 4K Killer?
No.
4K Killer I found I think on Amazon Prime, and it's a not found footage. It's a delivered footage movie, so it's a different take on it.
Okay.
Filmed by the killer in 4K because they want the best possible quality. And it's basically about stalking and killing people on this murderer's list.
Any good?
It's
because I feel like the high water mark for those types of films is Poughkeepsie tapes.
Yeah.
Poughkeepsie
it definitely is. It definitely is. What I liked about this is that the reason the camera's set up is to record this stuff, to keep a record of it. What I could have done without was 3/4 of the explanation at the end from the killer.
Okay.
But it was okay. I didn't regret watching it like you did, apparently, watching Black Christmas.
Oh my God, I was so mad.
The you know who the killer is pretty early on. And it's all right. It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst found footage thing I've ever seen. It's no Dark October or whatever that fucking thing I watched was.
All right, so I also banged out some documentaries this week.
Okay.
I finally got around to watching The Godfathers of Hardcore, which is the Agnostic Front, the Vinny Stigma, Roger Miret documentary that Ian McFarlane directed a couple years ago. I know Ian. I've known Ian for a long time. He plays bass in Blood for Blood, and he's friends with a number of people that I'm friends with. And we don't know each other well, but I know him. And I can't believe it took me this long to watch it. And I kind of forgot that I hadn't seen it, but I've got Showtime now. So I was loading the Showtime app on, and I came across it and was like, oh, damn. I'm like, I got to watch this. So being, again, old school hardcore dude, Agnostic Front is an important band in that.
Yeah.
There are things to love about this documentary. I love, first and foremost, that it isn't just a retread of their career. It isn't just like, good. Oh, and then in this year, Cause for Alarm came out, and they did this, and they toured with these people, and then this record came out, and then they were on this label. Like, it's more about Vinny and Roger as people, and kind of like who they are, what they've become, what being an Agnostic Front means to them.
Okay.
It's a very different music documentary, and I was really excited after kind of watching it. There are some things that don't work in it, and there's some things I think that he probably would have liked to explore a little bit more, but knew that he couldn't make like a 3-hour documentary.
Okay.
On them, so he kind of turned away from them. Like, I would have liked a little bit more on the music side of it, a little bit more of like when they went through their thrash metal phase, and like
that's when I knew him. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And and then like, because they're a band that stopped playing for a long time, then they came back and like they had a big comeback, and I would like to have kind of gotten a little bit more of the band side of it. Be it they're the only two members of the band that have been around, and Roger isn't even the original vocalist. He came in like the second record, I think, second or third record.
Okay.
But like Stigma's the sole original, but Roger's been the singer for 30 odd years or whatever it is. So it's good, and I think I don't know what Ian's working on now. He's got a couple of different projects, but I'm really looking forward to what his next feature length documentary is. I think he's a super talented guy. He's done a lot of music videos and stuff. And this is definitely, if you're into hardcore, have any interest in music documentaries, it's definitely worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, that's a long career to fit into a regular length.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, is like you would need to almost do a series on them. But it's real good. It's real good. And the soundtrack is excellent too. So,
well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
So then I watched another music documentary, The Rise of the Synths. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
Okay. So I did their pre-order Kickstarter thing a while back. The Rise of the Synths is a feature-length documentary about synthwave and how synth music has weeded its way into pop culture and all of this stuff. And I had been really excited to watch this. It had some artists in it that I really like. John Carpenter does the narration in it.
Nice.
Directed and written by Ivan Castle. I didn't think it was very good though.
No. What was it? What was it that ruined it for you?
I don't.
Nothing specific, huh?
No, there was a few things that. So he had this like overarching narration with John Carpenter, kind of like talking through different eras of synth music and the creation of like electronic music, and I enjoyed that part of it. But he had it tied to this narrative of this guy, the synth rider, who was like a character that like drives a DeLorean and like has like, I guess it's a time machine, and he goes back through all these different things, but like everything is like brought up in like these like kind of like really general terms, and nothing is really explored deeply enough to feel like it's more important or matters more than anything. I liked that he started with the present and worked his way back down to the 70s and getting to like Kraftwerk and like Tangerine Dream and all that stuff.
Okay.
Because I found myself...
So for people that haven't seen it, it's not just movie soundtracks. It's all through.
No, it's very much
music.
The it's
Okay.
Synthwave is like a big thing right now.
Yeah.
So, you know,
when I was little, that was just called new wave.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. So, but then also one of the things that I found that kind of bugged me was that a lot of the artists themselves just think way too highly of themselves.
Oh no, like who's an asshole that I like?
I'm not going to go into it offhand, but there's okay, well I will. I'm a huge Carpenter Brute fan. Love Carpenter Brute. Loved, you know, they did the soundtrack to Blood Machines this year. I love that Leather Teeth record they did. A big fan. He's one of the ones though that won't show his face. And like, but here's the thing. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them that don't want their identities to be known, and like talk about how like we don't want our identities to be known because, you know, it's about the music, but it's like not showing your identity and making a thing about not knowing who you are is the identity that you're making. Because, oh, it's super secretive. No one knows what the guy from Carpenter Brute looks like. You know what I mean? So like that kind of bugged me. And there was a lot of self-serving of things and like a lot of that, that egotism of like, well, back in my day when we first started doing this and there was only like 5 people that were doing synthwave music, it was a lot better than it is now because every person that has a computer thinks they can be a synthwave artist. And like a lot of that stuff of like, but then there's the people that are very much like, hey, I love it, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff out there, but the fact that more people are doing it is great because there's so much.
But that's the same thing with everything. Movies, how many shitty garage bands that were out there compared to fantastically good #1 bands?
Well, yeah, you know that time period, like you had like the Strokes and like, you know, like the Black Keys and those guys were great, but every band that sounded like them was garbage.
Yeah,
not every band, but like, and there's a lot of that, and it's just he doesn't go deep enough into anything, and like. Again, being an independent filmmaker myself, I can appreciate not necessarily getting everything you want to get, but they talk a lot about Drive, and they talk a lot about Kavinsky, who did a lot of the soundtrack on Drive, but they never actually talked to Kavinsky or anyone related to making Drive, or even necessarily the specifics of like certain songs and like. Because like Night Call is like, I mean, that song hits in that. They talk about it briefly, but it's so briefly.
Okay.
Like, you know, and again, like Survival of the Film Freaks is a movie that's kind of like this in terms of like you take this giant thing and you're trying to like whittle it down to, you know, a 90-minute window of things and trying to cut things out. And I'm sure that this guy had a much more intensive cut.
Yeah.
That had a lot more of the stuff. And I just don't know whether maybe the editing, he took the wrong stuff out because I'm pretty sure he edited it also. Took the wrong stuff out, and I got to dig in because I did like I said, I did the backer package. So I got to dig into the bonus features and stuff. I know there's like extended interviews and stuff. It was just, I wanted more. I wanted more on the music itself because it presents itself as this, like, it's a music documentary and there's all these interviews with like these different artists. And I'm like, a lot of them just show up super briefly. Like one of the artists, Nina, who was on an episode of OTC a while back. They talked to her and she's one of the few, like the front, like there's only a handful of females. And I'm like, I want to hear more from her. And then the girl, Penelope, I can't remember her name, but she's a Canadian artist. And she talks about how she didn't show her face for a long time because she's, you know, she's a young, pretty female and she didn't want to be judged by her looks. And she's like, in the music industry, that happens a lot. So like,
absolutely.
That stuff makes complete sense.
Because once MTV came around, there were no ugly singers anymore.
No. Oh, Rick Ocasek was always kind of questionable.
Yeah, but he dressed cool.
True. Wore those sunglasses.
You know? Now, here's my issue, or I should say, here's my question about synthwave. Isn't synthwave just a resurgence of what Vangelis and Tangerine Dream and John Carpenter and Jan Hammer were doing?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's a music and a style that lives inherently from the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
And it's the culture and it you know, it bleeds that nostalgia. It's a sound based strictly on nostalgia.
Right. Like that one band that the Deadites had at
Teal.
their show.
Teal.
Yeah. I like their stuff. maybe not as personable as I would have liked them to be, but their music I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I love synthwave, man. I mean, I love it. You know, and there's
I mean,
some stuff. There's some
yeah.
of the burn pile stuff is in that realm. I don't think the burn pile stuff is. I think is probably got more of industrial feel to a lot of it. But like, I started doing synth based music because of my love of it.
Right.
So
that's what you do. I started when I picked up a first guitar, it was punk.
Right. So I was personally insulted by a lot of the guys that were like, oh, now everybody thinks they can just do it. And it's like, well, I just
because
did,
they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't watched the Burn Pile music video, it's out on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it like a hesitant recommend, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna give it a C-. I think it's worth checking out. I think the director got a little lost in what he was trying to do, and I think if he had just gone more straight ahead and taken out the synth rider thing and just been like, here's the history of synth music. And still go with it backwards, start with the modern day stuff and work your way back. I just think it was too much of a thing to not explore a little bit more of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I'm reading the thing here on Wikipedia. It says among the first synthwave artists were David Grelier, Kavinsky, M83, and Justice. What about Daft Punk?
They talk about Daft Punk a bit.
And they fall into that though, don't they?
For sure. They talk about Daft Punk, and that's another one. They talk about Daft Punk a decent amount, but they don't have. I mean, the guys from Daft Punk, they're not going to do an interview. That's not going to happen. Those guys won a bunch of Grammys and stuff, but like they don't delve into it. Everything is just so precursory. You just mentioned Justice. Justice gets mentioned once in the film. It's like I think I was kind of introduced to it by bands like Justice. And that's like the only time it ever comes up. They show like a still of the camera. And that Justice record, the one with the big gold cross on the front of it, if you like Italian horror and giallos, man, that is an electronic masterpiece in that soundscape.
Yeah, because a lot of it goes back to Goblin as well, doesn't it?
They talk about God. I mean, all of these things, Chris, they're all brought up.
Okay.
They're all brought up. They just aren't explored.
And they couldn't get Thomas Dolby for an interview or anything?
Thomas Dolby never came up once. He was one.
Are you fucking kidding me?
He was never mentioned once.
Jesus Christ. Men Without Hats had synths, like so many things. The entire Miami Vice soundtrack was made on one Korg synthesizer.
Yeah, I think Jan Hammer gets brought up, I think, once, but again, not really explored. So I don't know.
There's somebody else.
It was frustrating. But they talk about Vangelis. They talk about Kraftwerk.
Harold Faltermeyer.
His name is brought up. Yep, his name is brought up. But again, not really explored.
Because like everybody that I knew learned how to play Axel F on the keyboard.
Yeah. I'll send you a copy of it so you can watch it. I
definitely want to get angry about it. Watch it.
I don't know what its actual current availability is. I know that
I'll check. Yeah,
they did their pre-sales and stuff. But again, independent filmmaker. He did a Kickstarter to finish it. Definitely worth given the time and given your money to it. I just wasn't happy. And again, maybe that's, I don't know. I'd be curious because I haven't seen a lot of reviews of it yet, and a lot of the ones that are on IMDb are in Spanish because he's a Spanish filmmaker and it was made out of Spain.
Oh, okay.
But again, I think this would have been one that would have probably played a lot of festivals had there been a lot of live festivals. So who knows?
Yeah.
All right. We're starting to run out of time. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
No, it's been a short week, if you know what I mean.
I do. Oh, we got to finish one more holiday thing. I did watch the Lego Star Wars holiday special.
Oh, right. Okay.
I watched it. It was fun. I like the little nods, the tip and all the Life Day stuff.
I love that Grandpa showed up.
Yep.
That was nice.
I don't like the person they have doing Rey's Lego voice though.
Yeah, at first I thought it was her, but then
it sounds like they're kidding.
Yeah.
It sounds like it sounds like a joke. Oh, now I gotta get over here, but it's like not even like no, that's even better than it actually is.
I did like that Kelly Marie Tran was there and did Rose's voice.
Yeah.
She got way too much shit for being in that.
Which makes no
movies.
sense to me.
No. And she seems like a perfectly decent, nice human being. So I'm glad she's still not jaded to go and do more Star Wars stuff.
The paycheck probably helped too.
Yeah, but she's one of those ones that's like, she was super excited to be cast. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was fun. I would like to see a new story every year. They could do one every year. 45 minutes, that's fine.
Yeah. And it's like, it's another one though, where it's like, it's supposed to be a holiday special, but it's so not really like, it's
oh yeah.
One of those things. Joe in the chat says, amen. He thought that her voice sounded too butchy for the character. Kelly had more lines in the Lego special than she did in the last movie.
That is
That's
true.
what Nelson says.
Yep, she played a bigger part. Oh,
it's good though. It's on Disney Plus right now if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Watch party tonight at 8 p.m. If you're a member of the Patreon, check the Patreon for the login information. Also, you can go to our Facebook group page. It's also on there. Yeah, so next week we will continue to hit more and more of the holiday genre stuff. When did my room get so dark? Why didn't you tell me it was so dark in here?
Clouds came in.
I'm like, why? I just turned. I haven't been looking at my camera. I'm like, when did it get so dark?
Well, because it's 3:30. It's nighttime now.
I know. It looks like I'm in like the blue. I don't know, the blue room. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
If you're in Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Oh, well, that's not neon enough. I would need to change the change the thing. Where is it?
That's another. Oh yeah, you're getting there. That's another one I liked that I don't think you did.
I love the soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why it's just. What's this?
Hey, how much time did they spend on Mandy on that synth thing?
Not at all. I think they might have showed the poster briefly.
Huh.
So there we go. Now we got the color roll going behind me.
All right.
The new studio setup is great if you ever come back.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Jesus Christ.
True. So, yeah, guys, if you want to join the Patreon, go to patreon.com/outsidethecinema. $5 monthly donation gets you access to our show archives. You get access to the private feed, which gives you the audio version of these live shows. Only place to get the audio version of the live shows. Also gets you access to the watch parties. And then we got films in the archives, all kinds of stuff. It is an incredible amount of stuff for a $5 a month donation. You can also suggest movies for us to watch on the regular Outside the Cinema episodes, which are available on iTunes and all those places you get anywhere you get podcasts, with the exception of Spotify. And I just refuse to set up Spotify. So, yeah.
Chris,
you got anything else to add, dude?
Not this week.
All right.
See you tonight, I guess.
I'll see you in a couple hours then.
All right.
So this